These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Wednesday, December 6th at 9:30 our time, but 12:30 normal time because we are both in Las Vegas. Wait,
your computer didn't update. Your computer didn't update. It's 9:30.
It's 6:30 right now.
Yeah, it's 6:30.
Oh no.
Get ready for a long night, buddy.
All right. Well, Sam is in the bathroom because we have no other way to really easily record this with both of us.
We could try and do two people on the screen, but I think the setup and the audio inputs would have been too complex for our feeble minds. So I'm in the bathroom with a nice square light on the mirror, and Jack's dealing with a nice lamp.
Yeah, and apologies if the Wi-Fi lags at all. I think Sam's audio just barely lagged for half a second there. We still got all the words you said, but it just like delayed for a second. I think it's just the hotel Wi-Fi. So if we lag at any time, sorry.
We're both playing Wi-Fi. On tough battlefield today. Yeah. It's like we're both playing at my house.
It's danger zone. It is danger zone today, but danger zone or no danger zone, we will persevere and we will give away some Inpopnito popcorn because that's what we do here. I did change the background. It did take like 5 seconds to change, so that should let you know just about where we're at in terms of Wi-Fi. I can imagine editing on this. Hopefully this gets out by 5 a.m. That's all I'm saying. But
well, actually, no, we're still operating on Eastern time. I was going to say, well, we got free extra time, but
that's not not how it works. But let's share a screen here. Hopefully you see it, and hopefully it allows me to spin easily. Can we see the wheel, Sam?
It's up there.
Perfect. Let's spin the wheel and see who's getting some popcorn today. Oh, baby.
Gonna be.
Who's getting some popcorn? World be free. A constant commenter. Yeah, he's been commenting for a minute.
Overdue.
Absolutely. I agree. So World be free. We'll get into contact with you. You will be getting an Inpopnito gift card, sir. Congratulations. Thank you very much for playing. We can get into our first Celtics thing, though, which I feel like the past 3 shows we started with this. Kristaps Porzingis injury update, because that's the news. That's what we have to talk about. And it is this time around.
Embarrassed themselves because he's been injured.
Well,
it's going to be nice to have him back.
He went through a full practice today as we were speaking yesterday, as you guys are hearing this. And the intent for him, at least, is to play this Friday against the Knicks. When asked about it, he said, I believe so. I haven't talked to the medical staff yet, but I think after what I did today, should be good to go. So it seems like this was just a 1.5 week injury, which is for the, probably on the good end of the spectrum, because we know Kristaps' history with injuries.
He looked sick. He was not sick in a bad way, sick in a good way. Dripped out, had the big fat Lucky the Leprechaun logo on his cutoff sleeve T-shirt today at the practice. He looked comfortable. He was moving around. He had a leg sleeve on. He did the I know we're going to talk about the full thing later, but he did the Q&A on Instagram where he basically was like, yeah, I'm playing. So it sounds like Kristaps is going to be back against the Knicks as you listen to this tomorrow. And that's great news. I'm sick of watching this team without Kristaps. They've embarrassed me for the last time. I went into Indiana on Monday, really underperformed, didn't play well down the stretch. That could have been really, really helped by the presence of the big man, because that's an extra offensive weapon they're going to have. Also, it's a nice revenge spot for him against the Knicks. Former team traded him to the Mavs. And, home crowd will be juiced. Hopefully, it's going to be a Friday at the Garden. I'm interested to see how well the ticket sales did, because they only knew that this game was happening since Monday. So I'm curious how many people actually are going to be in there, or at least how much tickets would be. Not that we're there, but we really couldn't be much further away.
It's true. We'll have to see. I imagine it's fairly packed. It is Celtics Knicks. It's a weekend. You have to imagine they get some people into the building, and it's TD Garden. People show up no matter what. So good to see Kristaps making his way back onto the court. Exactly. But next thing we have is Bleacher Report wrote an article regrading every team's offseason moves, more specifically regrading free agency. So this does not include trades. And the Celtics got a B- for their free agency moves, which includes the signing of O'Shea Brissett, Delano Banton, Lamar Stevens, and Nemish Keita, I believe, and Svi Mykhailiuk. 2 contracts. Grant Hughes of Bleacher Report wrote it up. He said they did more than their fair share of transactions over the summer, but most consequential moves were in the trade and extension departments. Said Brissett comes closest to being a rotation piece, but he's only appeared in 8 of 20 games. Porzingis' calf injury could clear up some minutes, but Brissett might not be the one to benefit. Banton and Mykhailiuk are firmly set as the Celtics' 11th and 12th men. Neither seems likely to climb over Pritchard, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser, or even Brissett in the pecking order, et cetera, et cetera. Although Banton has been getting more minutes lately, which is a bit interesting to see. What do you make of the free agency moves, Sam, so far this early into the season?
So I kind of think the free agency moves are funny because everything that was pointed out in the article is true. They brought in all these guys. They brought in a slew of wings. Everyone was like, they need to get more depth behind Tatum and Brown. And they brought in a bunch of guys, and they just don't play any of them. Banton's the only one that gets regular run. He's been relatively solid anytime he's got an opportunity. He hasn't really knocked your socks off, hasn't been a world-changing player. But he works hard, he hustles, he gets rebounds, and he's not completely brain dead with the ball. He had 3 turnovers against the Pacers, but he's long. He provides you that switchability on defense. Like, there's a lot of likable things about him, and you can teach a guy how to shoot over time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but if they really like him and they can rely on him, you could see over the course of a season or two, they're really going to get him to learn how to shoot the 3 ball and knock it down comfortably in positions that he'll be taking game shots. As for the rest of the guys, it's been kind of disappointing. Like Brissett, somebody we were all really hyped for when they signed him. It was somebody that we all were aware of because of how he cooked the Celtics that one time with the Pacers, knocked down a bunch of threes, hasn't gotten a ton of burn this year. When he has been out there, his defense and hustle has been the main thing. He clearly is not someone that you can rely on shooting the ball because, I mean, you said it. The man is just barely making anything in these open shoot-arounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit weird that he's sort of just fallen out of the rotation completely with how much the Celtics have prioritized rebounding this season because he's a great offensive rebounder, and he showed that a lot in the early parts of the season. I'd probably rather see him play over Delano Banton. I think Delanton's been fine, but I think a lot of the stuff that he brings to the table, Brissett can also do. Though Banton does have the extra, skill of ball handling, so that helps him a little bit, I suppose. I don't know. It's just been weird. I'd like to see some more Lamar Stevens and Svi Mykhailiuk personally. I think both of them can bring some stuff to the table. I think Svi's been good on offense. Defense is maybe a bit questionable, but I think Lamar's the opposite of that. And so maybe Joe sees Banton as the most well-rounded of the group, but I just think he's pretty – I don't know. I'm not a huge Banton guy so far. I think he's been all right, but I think the other bench reserves can bring a bit more to the table. So I suppose we'll see.
I would like to see more of Stevens, to your point.
Yeah.
His hustle, he's an absolute dog on the defensive end. He's somebody that in the preseason we saw show an ability to create his own shot. He's somebody that started on a home court advantage having Cavs team last year for a large bulk of games. He's not some bum. He was a key piece on that team for a long time. And he has improved his three-point shot every single season he's been in the league. He's somebody that has shown the drive to get better and improve on the weak points in his game. That's important. You just heard me talk about Banton for a minute or two, talking about, wow, it'd be sick if they taught him how to shoot threes. Lamar Stevens isn't there yet because the bar was very, very low. 16.7% as a rookie. And then he's steadily bumped it up to in the 30s, low 30s last year. But he is not a guy that deserves to be sitting watching games from the end of the bench and never getting in, only in garbage time. He works hard enough. He's somebody that can make decisions from the net against the zone, and he can knock down the middies from the elbow. I trust him. I wish we would see more of him because I think he can instill some more identity into this team, and I think they could use it. I think Monday's game against the Pacers is an example of they lack – I don't want to say a killer instinct because it's generic, but they do lack the crazy, tenacious guy. They don't have that now that Smart's gone. It doesn't mean that the elements skill-wise he brings to the game are not present on the team, but there is no psycho guy out there for the Celtics. And I think if Lamar Stevens earns some more minutes, you could see some very good habits rub off on the rest of the team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm a bit biased, but I would definitely like some more Lamar Stevens minutes personally. Also, apologies to any YouTube watchers or listeners if you see me yawning or just looking like zoned out. I am exhausted from today.
The man has barely slept.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I just thought it was 9:30, 12:30, but it's 6:30,
See, I'm
9:30, which
tired,
is
but Jack's real tired.
tough. We'll talk about it in the rat list, but getting into the next Celtics thing, let's go back to Kristaps Porzingis. We're flip-flopping back and forth from Kristaps to other stuff today. Sam referenced it earlier. Kristaps went on an Instagram, spree today of just jokes. And we'll start with this. So somebody posed him the question. I think he did a Q&A. We didn't get all of them. We'll go over a couple highlights. Someone said, who would win in the fight, Peyton Pritchard or Sam Hauser? And Porzingis posted a picture of both of them. Pritchard, he said, Peyton definitely has the heart and the tenacity, but he lacks reach. I'd give him the grappling advantage, though. Then for Sam, he said Sam would have the reach and size advantage and a sniper of a right hand with KO power. It would be a close one. My odds would be 55%, 45 in favor of Peyton to win, which I think is interesting, but I would probably agree with. I would take Peyton in the fight over Hauser personally.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard definitely has a little bit of psycho in him. I think this is a good take. You see just his road to the NBA has crazy guy written all over it with the amount of work he's had to put in. Some of the performances he's put on in pro-ams where it's just pouring it on and on and on and on. That's the fighter mentality. It's why I think a lot of the fans here like him so much, is because even this season, when he hasn't been the most efficient at times, he's still really working hard out there to be the best he can for the team, battling on the glass, making the right play. Hauser isn't really somebody you would picture to be a fighter.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other notable one, or the other one that I found on Twitter that was easy, shout out to Noah of Celtics blog for tweeting it. Porzingis was asked who is the funniest player in the Celtics, and he listed three. He said JB, then he listed Luke, Cornette, and then Al's stories are high level too, which I think is valid. I mean, him and JB are obviously close friends. Luke Cornette seems like just goofy, and then Al Horford is sneaky funny apparently, because I wouldn't have picked him personally.
Yeah, my guess, well, Kristaps has to be up there. He's obviously not. If he did pick himself, that would be funny. That would actually be more points for him. Cornette, we've heard about being funny in the past, so that's not the most shocking thing. I feel like Missoula, well, I guess technically not a player, but I think Missoula is probably someone that's like a sleeper answer to this category because, I mean, he talks shit to you guys all the time. He has to be talking mad shit to these guys in the locker room at practice whenever he gets the chance just to dump on them. I bet he does. And let's see, who else do we have? I can see Horford kind of being funny, but it's weird for the vet leader mentor to be the wisecracking guy too on the team, you know?
I bet Brissett's kind of funny, and I know he's not there all the time, but I bet Jordan Walsh is funny too. He seems like a funny dude.
Yeah, I can see Jordan Walsh being quite the character, at least like unintentionally funny. He might not be out there like entertaining a room, but he might be someone they point and laugh at. Grant Williams asked.
Yeah, I agree.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action, NFL. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including you got spreads, you get your player props, you got over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right. Next Celtics thing, that was just a brief intermission. Jayson Tatum went on the Point Forward podcast today with Evan Turner and Andre Iguodala. We're going to go over the spark notes of it. Again, thank you to Noah Dalzell, who wrote it up for Celtics blog. I'm picking through this article, and we're going to go over some of the best quotes. He talked about growing up in St. Louis and raising his son. He said, LeJay was a kid who was clumsy, skinny. He played the 2, 3 grades up, was getting pushed around by high school kids. They always saw the potential, saw that he could be special one day, but he tried to grow up. Said it was a Jesus Shuttleworth type of relationship. We got closer as we get older, but it did put a strain in a relationship. This is of his dad. who is now the head coach or a head coach in the NBL. Talked about competing against his mentors and heroes. Said Kobe texted him after game 1 of the ECF in 2018, his rookie season. Said he praised his performance. Said that was my biggest inspiration. It sounds cliche. It sounds it's crazy that someone thousands of miles away didn't know me from a can of paint can inspire me to chase my dream the way he did, to work out at 5:30, watch all these highlights, everything about him I wanted to be. That's what he said. So many guys that I looked up to. My first game in the league was Kyrie's first game back in Cleveland. We played LeBron. We had back-to-back when we played Giannis at home. 12 games later, we played OKC. That was at the free throw line with Melo and Paul George. I was like, oh, my God. And then a few years go by, and that's your matchup. He talked about the 2022 finals run. I'm just spark noticing this quick, then we can break down the best things. I just want to get it all out of the way. He talked about facing the 7-seeded Nets in the first round and Kevin Durant. He said his approach to the game, to us, that mentality. We would watch film, and he would pause it. This was about his relationship with Ime Udoka. I believe this quote is. He'd be like, yo, y'all not friends, y'all not homies. You're not even trying to go where he's at. That was mentality every day. It just ran through everybody. We were on that. We're not running from anybody, whatever it takes, whoever got to play, that's how it's got to be. I remember going through the playoffs. I was mentally drained after each series. I thought if we play the Nets and I beat KD, I'll be fulfilled, like we did something. And then they were banged up. Can you beat Giannis? And then it's Chris Middleton wasn't there. Can you go on the road and beat Jimmy Butler? And I did all those things. And after each time, it's like I'm supposed to feel something. It don't mean nothing in Boston if you don't win the championship. We lost to y'all. He's talking to A here. And I didn't play well enough. And it's like, as much as you can say you don't pay attention to that stuff, you hear it, the criticism, it's there. Even the toughest minded person, subconsciously, that's in your mind. I already had respect for the Warriors, blah, blah, blah. Just went to so much higher level after we played in the finals. Talking about this season, or last year, he said it wasn't Joe's fault or our fault. We were in the game. This is about, the Bulls in season tournament thing. Said it wasn't anybody's fault. That's just the rules, effectively. And then these are the good quotes that I was looking for. This is about winning a championship for Boston. Sorry, it's a long interview. I was trying to spark notes the best things so we can talk about it. He said,
finally, the good stuff.
I know, dude. He said, I know I can average 30, was the first all NBA a couple years in a row. I know I can do that now. Now I've just got to win one. There's only so many guys that have been in the situation that you're in or trying to be in, and everybody's trying to deal with it in their own way. Mentally, it can be a lot. Just the idea of being young, and every single night there's 20,000 people who came to see you be Superman. They don't know what you're dealing with at home, family problems. You argued with someone back in St. Louis, something wrong with Deuce or whatever. It's like, no, I've seen you do this before. I want you to come and do it tonight. I don't care what else you got going on. Be the person. You've got to learn to navigate that. Honestly, I didn't understand how special of a place Boston was until I got here. I didn't like Boston. I felt like them beating the Rams ended up being the reason the Rams ended up leaving St. Louis. They beat Kobe in 2008, so I was sick about that. But this is a special place. They love their sports teams. They love their guys. I feel like they've been embraced. I feel like they've accepted me as one of their guys. There's a sense of pride. There's an edge you have to play with here. I can only imagine the love, the reception. If you hung one of those banners up, it would be incredible. It's going to be incredible. I know it. So that is the interview. Sorry, it was so much of me reading.
Big prediction from Tatum after you can't even win the Mickey Mouse tournament there. But no, I mean, those are all the things you want to hear from somebody that's your cornerstone player. It's great to hear that he's grown to enjoy being in the city. It's great to hear that he feels like he's been embraced, because I truly think he has. I think people really like him here. I think his calm demeanor is a change of pace compared to what people are used to. Obviously, KG, Pierce, kind of loudmouth guys in a good way. Bird trash talking, even though he was a quiet guy in the media. But still, like, I mean, you hear all these stories about him. Tatum, it's like he doesn't say a peep. That's just his whole thing. And I think it's a cool way for him to go about his identity as an NBA star. Now, what would be really sick is if they did win a championship. It feels like they could have won 2 or 3 by now. So I think that puts a little bit of a strain on the expectations. Like, they become more and more, they pile up every single season. Like, I mean, Jack, they lost out of this tournament on Monday, and it's like, here we go again. And it's December. It was December 4th when they lost out. And
yeah,
you know, I was ripshit pissed on the pod. Like, I'm still not thrilled about it. We're here in Vegas, and we were hoping to see them, and now they're not here. They lose a big game in typical Celtics fashion where they don't really execute well enough down the stretch. Now, Tatum himself was actually pretty solid the fourth quarter. 13 points, I think we found out when we looked at the box score. But the problem was on the defensive end when they just couldn't get a stop. And sure, Indiana was very hot. But it just sucks to see more of the same after they made so many changes this year. So it's a long roundabout way of saying the pressure is continuing to build for him and Jalen to win a title here.
I agree. I think the more years they go without winning, the more people will want them to win. And that's natural and I think the most important part of that is it's because people know they can win. People know they are capable of doing it. People know this team is talented enough to win a title. And so that's the bar, and that's what it is. But it was a good interview. I enjoyed reading it through. I haven't had a chance to listen today, but it was
a big fan of Evan Turner myself.
Shout out Evan Turner. Now I mentioned we were flip-flopping back and forth. We are going back to Kristaps Porzingis, who did a podcast of his own. Porzingis was on the JJ Redick podcast. The full pod has not dropped, but a clip of it has dropped, and he talked about his time with the Mavs and Luka Doncic, and basically why it didn't work. He said early on, for sure, Porzingis said, admitting that there was some tension there, but I think we both tried to make it work. It's just I think the communication and maturity on both our parts should have been better. It's a mix of many things, maturity for sure, and I'm talking about what I could have done better. Better maturity for sure. And I wasn't that much into analytics and numbers. If somebody at that stage of my career presented it to me the right way and said, this is what we need to do, this is what we need from you, you're way more effective doing this, and explained it to me better, I think that would have made a difference a little bit. I think we both tried to make it work. It's just, communication problems. So basically saying it's just communication and a lack of maturity was what ended his run with Luka and the Mavs.
You know what's funny is I really feel like Kristaps is an easygoing guy that seems very easy to mesh and play with. So for him to have trouble fitting in next to Luka, I feel like says a lot. Now, he does burden a lot of the blame here by saying he feels like he was immature and he didn't really see the vision and the numbers weren't in front of his face.
I wonder how much of it is that we're seeing now in Boston is that he learned from his experience in Dallas.
Could be that too. So shout out to Luka for having him stand in the corner and watch him dribble and then, have to be ready to fire on any given moment with no time left on the shot clock because Luka didn't get the shot he wanted. I don't know. I think Kristaps has more to offer than that, which is something we have seen with the Celtics, right? He's not just standing there waiting to get the ball on the perimeter. He is seeing offensive sets run to get him the ball in the post, get him the right matchup to score, to dominate. You saw them use them to abuse the undersized teams they've taken on, Washington, Brooklyn, in those games where those teams without a major big guy to try and defend them. Mm-hmm. You just didn't really see a whole lot of that in Dallas, and you still don't see much of it. It's a lot of Luka. Now it's a lot of Kyrie too, and the rest of those guys, they don't really have a ton of opportunity to cook or to really excel. Someone like Derek Lively is doing a great job because all his game is catch and dunk. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I think that's what Grant is having a solid season in Dallas. She sits in the corner, catches the ball, shoots the ball. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah. You know what's funny is Kristaps could have been a catch and dunk guy too. Like both of the things that you mentioned for Grant and then Derek Lively are things he does here with the Celtics, but at the same time, he's given the freedom to also try and cook here every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how much he got of that in Dallas. And that becomes a problem for these guys. We kind of pontificate on, wow, it's crazy. These guys go their whole life being the absolute best player, and then they're relegated to guys just standing, waiting in the corner.
Well, especially where Kristaps was when he got to Dallas. It was, I just had great years in New York. I'm finally blossoming into this all-star guy. And now you're asking me to take on a smaller role? Like, that just doesn't.
Plus, he was kind of like pinned out to be the Dirk successor. Big, tall, white guy from Europe that shoots jump shots on the Mavs.
Kind of Luka now, but yeah. I don't know. It just, I'm happy it didn't work out. I'll put it that way.
Me too.
All right. Last Celtics thing we have is the emails. Let's check in there. Do you want to put Inpopnito on the screen?
I'll do the brand.
One step ahead of me. Thank you, sir. All right. Starting off with Daniel Hislop. Question: best case for Kada? Hi, gents. Started listening recently once you linked up with CLNS. Appreciate all the content. Thank you, Daniel. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
I love what I've seen from Kada so far this year. What do you think his best case ceiling for him could be if all goes well with the Celtics and they keep him around in the future seasons? Thanks a lot, Dan. For me, I think it's a matter of, can he improve defensively, and can he expand his offensive game to be in the right spot for the roles consistently? And even then, I think you're looking at like Nick Richards in Charlotte, like an okay backup. Like I like Kata, and I like the role he could potentially play, but it's not like he's gonna be starting anytime soon. He's not Rob, he's not Al. Like, he's not a good defender. He's a great rebounder, but past that, it's a lot of like, well, I don't really know. Like, his positioning just isn't great. And so I think he could be a solid backup / third string for the Celtics, but I really don't think the ceiling is much higher. And I like Canada. This isn't me dumping on him. I just think he is what he is at this point.
So you said defense, more specifically, quit fouling. That's a big issue when you're out there for a minimal amount of time and you're racking up the fouls. It doesn't exactly open up avenues for you to have extra minutes, because fouls will keep you out of the game, no matter who you are. If you pick up too many fouls, you have to sit on the bench and wait so you don't foul out. When you're in a smaller role, when you pick up the fouls too quickly, it really hurts momentum. You're a bench guy and you're coming in the game and fouling right away. The other team's getting free throws. It disrupts any flow your team had. And your job as a bench guy is to either maintain that or provide a spark, which is something, in fairness, we've seen him do. In the one time he really got some serious burn against the Hawks, he racked up a ton of rebounds. He was all over the offensive glass, even if some of those were his own misses. And it was a nice, welcomed addition to the team's rotation that day. But it's not something you've seen him go towards every night. He doesn't have the same chemistry with some of the rotation guys that Luke Cornett does. Example would be Indiana's game, where Cornett was cooking in the first half. He was a major key to their 7-point lead they built up by the break, only to just piss away and let him have it as SpongeBob hands the ice cream to the electric eel guy and Plankton says, let him have it.
Yeah.
But going forward, I have more optimism for development on just about everybody, but Jack's probably right. His ceiling isn't that high, but he is a big body that is a lot of fun to watch, and he plays hard. People in Sacramento loved him. When the Celtics signed him and we did a video, everyone was like, you guys are going to love this guy. He rules. And there's a reason for that. So there's hope, but with this team, it's hard because there's not a lot of room for error. So if he's going to find a ceiling, it may be elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I like Kata, but as much as people don't want to hear it, I think Cornett's been better this season for what the Celtics need. So that should tell you about his ceiling a little bit. Anyways, next email from RJ the Goat. What's poppin'? What's the common factor? Evening, guys. I hope you enjoy your Vegas trip. Take pictures. Let's see. Good news. I didn't see anybody slip on the neon floor.
A live look from Vegas.
There you go. More good news of a sort. With 5 losses, we have just enough data points to see which of the margins cost us games most consistently. Fun fact of the 5 defeats tonight, as I write this, tonight is the Pacers game, was the only time the Celtics turned the ball over more than the opposition. The same holds true for free throws made. In the other 4 losses, the Celtics made more foul shots than their opponents. Total rebounds and offensive rebounds don't show any clear pattern either. In the loss to the Timberwolves, the Celtics had more offensive rebounds than the tall Minnesotans, and tonight the Celtics had a 66-44 edge in overall rebounding, even though most of the margin was built in the first half. Heck, there's even one game where the Celtics shot better than the opposition from 3-point range. Granted, they shot 31.9%, while the Sixers bricked it up at 26.5%. So no one was on fire, but 3-point shooting is the key fact. In all 5 of the Celtics losses, the men in green have shot 32% or worse from distance. Minnesota, 28.2%. Philly, 31.9%. Charlotte, 32%. Even Orlando, 24.1%. And against the Pacers, 29.3%. Want to see the Celtics lose, contest their threes, and get them below that 32% mark. In part because they are missing shots, but I also think it's because they don't know how to downshift when winning interior basketball, or they aren't comfortable with it. Anyways, have fun on the trip to Sin City. Sam, stop taunting Jack. It's a cheap way to play the crowd, and you're better than that. Damn.
In fairness to me, the crowd loves to taunt Jack.
This is true.
Without my provocation. And also, I was very good to Jack on the flight today, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
I sat in the middle.
Flight was fine.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I mean, RJ's speaking my language. I agree with the threes. Although I was showing Sam's stat earlier this morning that the downshift doesn't necessarily work when the Celtics shoot 30% or below 30% from three and they stop shooting and they take fewer than a certain amount, they win like, you know, 18% of the time versus when they shoot lower than 30% but keep shooting and they take over a certain amount, they win more often. So it's like I don't necessarily think you should stop shooting. I think you should cut out the bad ones that lead to the poor percentage, but I don't think you should ever stop shooting threes. I think you should cut out the bad ones and instead choose to go inside, i.e., looking at Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But I don't think the raw 3-point numbers, in my opinion, are a fair thing to criticize. And I think the point RJ makes is valid that they don't shoot well, they lose. And I don't think that's a Celtics thing. I think that it's a league-wide thing. If you don't shoot well from three nowadays, you're probably not going to win a lot of games.
I would really like to see, and I don't expect you to look this up, and I'm not looking it up, what the record or split is when Tatum shoots less than X amount from deep. Because that man loves to fire up the threes no matter what. If they're falling, they're not falling. Loves the sidestep. You saw it in the Pacers game. He started really attacking the defense well, going to the cup. Then he settles for a bomb, and it went in from the logo in Indy, in fairness to him. But those are the kind of shots that drive me nuts because you see
I got it.
this sheer amount of success he has just forcing the issue. Go ahead.
So this year, I can tell you last year too, because it's a larger sample size. When Tatum takes 9 or more threes, the Celtics are 10-1. And when he takes fewer, they are, what is the rest of this? 5-4.
Do you have the percentage on the 10-1? Like, what has he shot in those games?
I can't do the percentage, but he shot quickly. I'll just 46%, 38, 41, 36. 1 for 11 was bad. 3 for 10 was bad. Then 60%, 40%, 44%. Yeah. And then in a lot of these fewer than nines are he shot 40% or better in 3 of the 9 games, the other ones. So
sure.
I can tell you last season too, because maybe this is just a small sample size thing too, but I don't know. I've never been huge on the, and I'm not. I agree with the notion that cut out the bad ones.
You're better than that. It's a cheap way to try and get your offense off. To reference RJ's message.
The numbers say the same thing last year. 9 or more threes. A lot of Celtics
fake
wins.
Stat.
This is why stats your argument. Would it have been a real stat?
What did you say?
I said if it had supported your eyes, would it have been a real stat?
Yes, just like the tournament. Mickey Mouse fake tournament now.
Of course. All right. Next RJ email. What's poppin'? Shams felt lonely. Afternoon, guys. The Shams piece felt like a desperate cry for attention on his part, but fine, I'll play along. I do think part of the challenge for JB-led squads is that Brown is trying to be more of a facilitator, and he hasn't quite locked in with the guys around him, but I see him trying. But the thing about Jayson Tatum plus bench guys is they feel more like the old Michael Jordan and the Jordan-Ayers. Lots of Tatum isolations and a lot less movement elsewhere. The reason this looks better right now is we've run the offense over the last 3 or 4 years, but it's pretty much at the ceiling. Tatum isn't going to get massively better in his ISO game, but we need him to be more of the destination for the ball and not the guy trying to initiate the offense. Given the way Brad and Coach Mazzulla have behaved with player acquisitions mid-year, is that we'll either find a solid defensive fit / team for a guy like Caruso or Dunn, although I dread the capital Danny's going to try to extort, or we wind up with Muscala revisited, who sounds serviceable but wasn't getting off the bench except for Geno time. They can't trade for him unless he goes somewhere else. I think the improvement the Celtics have to come within is a Brown, White, Holiday triad making ball movement happen, and or Cornet, Queta unlocking more of their potential. Obviously, more Kristaps is only going to be a good thing. Enjoy Vegas and the games. I think the ESPN piece or post of Jalen 0 assists and 43 attempts in the last 2 games was also cheap and lame. I think he's been good at passing. Celtics just haven't made their shots. I think Jalen's been better this year. I think he's made real improvements, and I think Tatum's recent dip in plus minus and Brown's rise is because he's struggling right now. But I'm of the belief that slumps happen, and it sucks when they do, but I don't know. I'm not too concerned with either one of them.
Another prime Tatum won't win the MVP because he can't put together a whole season example. Even though this year though it was really shaping to be the year going into the season, once the season started, you realize you're just probably not going to have to heavily lean on him that much for him to have the stats to really jump off the page to voters. But yeah, as far as the acquisitions go, this is all crapshoot. I think their best bet's actually going to come in the buyout market. A lot of these TPE guys just feel like buyout additions anyway because you're giving up second-round picks for them. It's not something you see a direct change in front of you other than the free guy that just joined your team. So going forward, I'll be curious to see who gets bought out. I think we're a little bit too early into the season to start really, really predicting this team's falling off a cliff, so this guy has to become a free agent. I don't think there's anybody that really stands out other than maybe Gordon Hayward, and that can't happen. So there goes all our fun.
Pretty much. Pretty much. All right. Last email from RJ here. What's poppin'? Speaking of shooting, by the time you two read this, I hope you're up a couple large at the casino. We actually haven't had the chance to go.
We have had a day.
Since you're in a town that is always looking for any edge, no matter how small, let's see if we can find a small margin of improvement for the Celtics that might yield big results. So, quick question. Who on the Celtics has an overall shooting percentage under 43% and is the third on the team in shots attempted? You would believe it's Drew Holiday. I was kind of surprised, and it's not because of his long-distance shooting. That's the culprit. The rest of the team is shooting almost 60% on their twos, while Holiday is at a measly 45.6% rate. In their 6 losses, here's Holiday's 2-point percentage. Minnesota, 4 for 12. Philadelphia, 2 for 6. Charlotte, 4 for 8. Quote, made up for it with 0 for 2 at the charity stripe. Orlando, DNP. Pacers, 2 for 4. Again, 50% of these shots is still 10% below the team average. We've already seen the Celtics win close games down the stretch. Maybe if Holiday gets back to his career average of 50% on interior shots, the Celtics look a little more confident in building and maintaining leads. Anyways, something to think about. Be well, RJ. Yeah, I mean, another small thing.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this isn't like a volume issue either. I'm pretty sure a lot of his numbers in terms of the looks he's getting from 2-point range / at the rim are very similar to what he was getting in Milwaukee. Yeah. So you can't even be like, well, he's being asked to get out of his rhythm, which he might be a little out of his rhythm because his role is different than what it was in Milwaukee. He was often the secondary or tertiary scorer there. That just doesn't happen with the Celtics. You have Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Derek White, all ahead of him really consistently. So that can be jarring, but in terms of layups, they should go in more. I wonder if this is like a Celtics thing, oddly enough, because Brogdon had that same problem last year where he was missing a lot of layups and a similar ask to what Holiday's being tasked with every game. He's not coming off the bench, but he still has a very similar place in the team's offense.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the misses for Drew Holiday are for when he tries to call his own number and he ends up driving inside and just getting contested, which maybe he needs to cut some of those out. But I don't know. We'll see. Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Daniel, for reaching out via email. Let's dive into the NBA. And we'll start with, instead of an around the league check-in, we're going to look at the in-season tournament because not much has happened around the league.
The results are trickling in as we're doing this, but the two of us are far too tired to go through and react to the slate of games that's happening right now. So you'll get that later in the week. But what we can do is discuss the 2 games in front of us tomorrow as you're listening to this later today. You have Milwaukee, Indiana, and you have New Orleans, Lakers. Now, we'll be at the Pacers-Milwaukee game. We'll be pulling for the Pacers. We think that Pacers team is very likable. Halliburton is a very exciting player to watch. The rest of the team is comprised of mostly young guys and also Bruce Brown, who rules. Shout out to Dorchester there. And then Milwaukee, Dame, Giannis, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, who's playing some great basketball, and then the rest of their fellas. AJ Green, who made a bunch of threes against the Knicks. I was rewatching it on the plane today. And, man, they whomped the Knicks in the second half yesterday. That was a close game at the break. Neither team was playing any defense. It was like both teams were in the 70s, and then the Knicks just kind of couldn't keep up anymore. Shout out to Andrew. They ended up losing by 18 points, I think. It was like 137 to 119, or it might have been worse. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. But the Bucks will be here. The Pacers will be here. We both will be pulling for the Pacers again. And maybe we'll put some bets. Who knows what we're going to
Why not?
say.
Listen,
Also,
yeah,
continue. You go first.
I was
like the
just
way
gonna
this
say
flows.
quickly. I was just gonna say quickly. I know they beat the Celtics and it stinks, and also we're rats for not putting NBA up. I
I
know it stinks they
literally
beat the
had the thing
Celtics,
open.
but I love Tyrese Halliburton. Huge fan. He's awesome. Might be my favorite player in the league outside of Boston right now.
Just one of
So
those
I'm
guys
very excited to
loves
watch him
ball.
play. Yeah, love Tyrese Halliburton. Anyways, were you about to send it to the next thing we were talking about?
Yeah. So
Right.
then you have Pelicans Lakers. Pelicans bested the Kings after the Celtics went crashing out of the tournament on Monday. And then last night at Crypto.com Arena, it wasn't Peyton Pritchard that was the crypto scammer. It was the officiating crew. Because the Lakers got a free timeout when the Suns stole the ball. And then they doubled down and said they didn't make a mistake after the game. Absolutely Mickey Mouse, most obvious silver tilting the playing field ever. Got to get the Lakers in, got to sell tickets, got to put people in. Vegas, very close to LA. A lot of Lakers fans will be around. I can't wait to be amongst all of the very intelligent people in the purple and gold. Man, was that terrible. You can't, and the fact that they stuck by it, defended it. Jack's pulling up the video. Here we go. So if you're listening
Is
on
this
audio
it?
platforms,
I think
this is it. You're listening on audio platforms, I'll give you the rundown. You got the little
If it
buffering
plays.
circle on the screen now, going
We
round
might be
and round.
cooked. Hotel Wi-Fi might cook it. I don't know if
Hotel
it'll play.
Wi-Fi may fuck us. But
Yeah, not gonna play.
imagination time. Austin Reeves is dribbling the ball. The Suns are up. He loses the ball. The Suns force at least a loose ball. They force a loose ball. Meanwhile, King Rat LeBron on the other side of the court, wailing in front of the ref for a timeout. The ball is rolling towards the Suns basket. And the timeout is granted as they're about to pick it up and tie the game. A 2-point game with less than 10 seconds to play. The team is irate. I'm irate when I wake up today. This is Adam Silver saying, get ready to watch the Lakers, buddy, because that's exactly what they want. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this was bad. This was a really terrible call.
Sleepless
There's
nights.
no way there should have been a timeout. I mean, I'd be very pissed off if I was a Suns fan. That's so bad.
Be mad as
That's
hell.
so bad. All right.
After the game,
Yes.
the last 2 minutes report comes out. Again, this one was the double down. Refs acknowledged 3 incorrect calls on the court. This was not one of them. All 3 of the calls that were referenced all benefited Phoenix. So they just wanted to make sure you knew they didn't care if the Lakers won. After the game, Kevin Durant talked about this, and he was very diplomatic, said, that's not the ball game. That's one play. It's a 48-minute game. I don't like to complain about calls. Sometimes the ref is not going to get it right. Sometimes it's on us to play through all that stuff and not worry about putting the game in the ref's hands. Kevin Durant, great mindset. It would be a very LeBron move to come out and be like, listen, we got screwed over. Make the NBA ref account tweet about sleepless nights after you get inconvenienced by an incorrect call. No. Durant comes out, accepts responsibility for playing not good enough to win for 48 minutes. Respect. But also, sorry you got screwed because you very clearly did.
Yeah, that was bad. It was a really bad call. Okay, next NBA thing you also put on here I'm not too familiar with, so I'm going to let you cook with the Knicks.
Okay. So, the Knicks might not be good enough to compete. Now, last night after the in-season tournament game, they obviously got whomped by the Bucks. Kenny and Chuck talked in depth about why they don't really take the Knicks seriously. This is what Kenny had to say after they have been blown out by Milwaukee. This is why the Knicks are going to stay in the middle. Every game they play, they always have the second best player. You don't have the best player on the floor any night. How can you expect to be one of the top teams in the East? Before Kenny spoke, Chuck went on a rant, very similar. He placed Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly all a tier above the Knicks and basically said they have no hope to compete in this conference with the current roster, just because they don't have the power at the top. And as good as Jalen Brunson is, and as impressive as he can be at times, it does feel like that's the truth. So after all of this is discussed on Inside the NBA last night, Shams trots out onto FanDuel TV, says the Knicks are monitoring the marketplace. They want to see if there's a star player that's available.
Yeah, it tracks. My thing is, what star player is going to come in there that becomes available and change it?
Levine.
No, no. I
Him
mean,
and
all this is
Randall,
happening.
It's the video of Shaq and Kobe, and it's just their feet. Like, you don't even need to see the whole video. You know how nasty it is.
It's the Spider-Man meme. All this coming out while Quentin Grimes is reportedly upset with his role and is afraid to shoot because he thinks if he misses, he's going to get benched.
I can get that. Again, we already touched on it. Whole life, best player in the game. Every game you play, has to stand in the corner and shoot every once in a while. Tough adjustment. Looks like Quentin Grimes isn't having the easiest time shifting his game to fit the mold, even though he's been good for them throughout his time there. He really impressed. He lit up the Celtics in one of the games they played this year. He is a motherfucker when he's on his game, but I can understand why he might not be comfortable at all times.
Yeah, it's tough. As we saw with Peyton Pritchard last year, it's when you don't have a consistent role every night, it's tough to get your shot there. So
sure is.
Next
other
thing.
Star players before we move on completely. Someone like Siakam has been rumored to be, maybe on the move, contract up this summer. But if you're the Knicks, do you really need him if you plan on keeping Randall? Do you really want to bring in another forward, almost a true four, one of the few true fours left in the NBA, into the fold to play alongside him and try and have them coexist? I don't think that's the answer. So move on. Who else would be available? We talked about Levine. That's a laughingstock because Levine's a joke. You move on even further. What other teams might be selling? Are the Clippers going to end up selling? They clearly didn't want to give you Paul George over the summer, so that seems to be off the books. The Lillard trade already happened. A team like Brooklyn won't sell. Go down the list. Are you going to try and pick somebody off the Wizards? Are you going to go after Kuzma? If you can even do that, is he even a star? Would he help the Knicks? Probably.
The only hope, I think, and I don't think it's likely, and I don't think it'll happen, is if all of these rumblings that, again, I don't believe of Donovan Mitchell wanting to be in New York are true. I think that's the only hope they have.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But also, I feel like the Cavs are a better situation. Now, I know, like you said, it's just like him wanting to be in that environment, in that city, wear that jersey, being from, I think he's from like Southern Connecticut, right by the city. So he has that connection too. Sure, I can see it, but at the same time, that situation in Cleveland with him, Darius Garland, Mobley, Jared Allen, it's good enough to where he shouldn't be looking to force his way out of town. I know the team isn't off to a tremendous start, but would you really rather go play for the Knicks the way they're built right now? They have a lot of fun role players, but even if Donovan Mitchell is there, you're going to have to give up one of Brunson or Randall, you'd have to guess, and probably RJ Barrett, too, to sweeten it for Cleveland, because I don't think one of those guys is really going to knock your socks off. Is that a winning situation? Is that much better than what you have in Cleveland if they have to cut the top?
Yeah, and I mean, Cleveland got off to a rough start, but they're 7-3 in their last 10, and they're 12-9 to the Knicks 12-8. So it's not like it's that significantly better of a situation.
Correct.
It is what it is. All right, last thing is Adam Silver talking about the beef.
One of the great rivalries in the sport.
The beef between Chris Paul and Scott Foster. Obviously, we all know the clip that happened a little while ago of Foster rejecting Chris Paul. Things came out, him saying, it has to do with the family, blah, blah, blah. Adam Silver on Sirius XM NBA radio said, basically, they don't have to be best friends, but you both have to go out there and do your jobs. I don't know how much discussion there is from this. This is just really funny to see him scolding them like children.
Yeah, do your job, Patriots. We've seen how well that's worked out for them after Brady left. I love Scott Foster. I think it's really fun in a wrestling type way when you have the ref be part of the storyline, especially with Chris Paul, who I don't hate, but I also kind of don't care for. He's a whatever guy. So it's not affecting my team. What do I care? And Scott Foster has just such a great personality. He is no nonsense, and you have to respect that part of him where it doesn't really matter who it is. It's his show, and he's going to make sure it's his show. So don't try and upstage him because he's the man. If I could buy a Scott Foster referee 48 shirt, I would. Too bad I can't. Adam Silver, instead of, pumping out all these wishy-washy city jerseys, give me some referee merch. I know another individual that would love some official merch. Boy, Matt, he loves the officials and all the games. He would definitely get a nice Scott Foster jersey. Shout out to the Scott Foster mixtape.
Yes, I agree. Is that? I'm sorry. I'm so exhausted.
No, it's
and my nose
okay.
is stuffy.
It's funny.
I'm cooked.
Good content.
Do we want to go to the rat list?
Go rat list. Jack's tired. I'm tired. Jack has another show to do after this and probably gambling to do. So we're gonna get out of here relatively soon. We'll be busy tomorrow.
We can do a full rat list. We can break the hour mark.
Jack and I lived the same day today. We had a monumental trip to Las Vegas. Now, we started off on separate paths. I took the train in from Warwick all the way to South Station into Logan. Jack was dropped off at the Braintree shuttle and shuttled into the airport. But we took the same flight. We had the same journey from Boston to Las Vegas. And what I can tell you is it was a very long one. So we'll start off the rat list. If I'm not mistaken, I will start off the rat list with my man next to me on the plane, Rat. Now, he had good intentions.
He's very nice.
Jack and I sat next to each other on the plane. I was very nice to Jack, considerate of his fears. And we had a third individual in our row. He had the aisle seat, an older guy, and he wanted to chat, and he was very kind to us. He was welcoming. Didn't want it to feel awkward sitting next to him the whole time, whatever. So he chats with us. Fine. Leaves
he also
us
didn't
alone.
over chat.
Fine.
He didn't over chat. Yes.
We are on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the worst breath of all time. I know it's mean, but I don't know. When you're next to somebody for that long, it affects you. I took the middle seat. Jack, I was the buffer. And also the man, Jack and I are both over 6 feet. What are you, 6'2"? 6? You're about the same height as me.
I think I'm 6'1", maybe 6'2". I don't know.
The doctor says
I'm taller. Sure, I'm tall enough.
The two of us are tall. Jack and I, our legs do not extend past our armrests. We are very mindful of the space in this row. This gentleman is far shorter than the two of us, and he did not give a flying fuck about the armrests and the boundaries. So my left ass was asleep for the majority of the flight because this man was spread all about as far as he could be spread in the row. And also, every time this man got up, he would sit back down, bracing himself with the armrest. And on the armrest is the remote control for the touchscreen television on the back of the seat. So every time he would put pressure on it, it would ruin whatever I was watching and it would bring me back to the home screen.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll do it. I'm going to double back real quick for Alice. Then we can get into the rest. Doubling back, rewind. As y'all know, I am very anxious. I do not like flying. Not my forte. So last night, did not sleep. So context here. Our flight was at 10 a.m. and I fell asleep in my bed at 5 and got up at 5:30. Right. So my intention was to not sleep so I could sleep on the flight. On top of that, I have not taken melatonin in a week because I ran out. And then I found some 2 days ago. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep not taking it. I'll take it on the flight. So by the time we get on the flight, I'm exhausted. And I'm like, okay, I'll pop this melatonin and I'll just knock out. I popped the melatonin and oh my God, did that shit hit me like a truck. I took 5 of them. I took 5 of those motherfuckers, right? The recommended dose is 2. And I took 5 because that's what I usually take because I built up an immunity, but it's gone now. And so it hit me. However, and Sam can attest because I know he also tried to sleep on the plane. Not easy to sleep on the plane. Just a disaster trying to sleep. I managed to sleep for 2 hours at the start, and then I slept for 45 after I woke up, and then I spots here and there. But I ended up just putting my head or my table down, putting my sweatshirt there and like laying on it. And hopefully I didn't move the seat in front of me too much. I don't know if I did. Hopefully I didn't elbow into your space too much, but like
No, you were a good neighbor.
okay.
Like State
Okay.
Farm.
It was tough. It was a tough one though to sleep on that flight. And I am exhausted to this day. It says 10:22 on my clock. I feel like it's later than that. It's 7 p.m. It's 7 p.m.
Jack took those melatonin and he was telling me, he was like, I am done for. He was ready to knock the fuck out.
I also took Dayquil like before that because I have a cough. And so like I was just like drugged up. I was
Jack was a human test tube today.
Yeah. I just muted my mic and coughed, and you could hear it come through Sam's mic. That was funny.
Oh, you could hear it still? No. Oh, it's still fun.
Yeah, that's all right. What's else? Oh, would you like to tell? So we get 6-hour flight. Flight actually wasn't that bad. There was very little turbulence. It was pretty straightforward. I told Sam like it's the anxiety of flying that gets me. Like once I'm up there, I'm pretty calm, and so I was fine. We get down. We get out of the airport. We call the Uber. And just when we think our trip is over, trip is not over. So, as many of you know, there was a shooting on the campus of UNLV. Awful. I mean, there's nothing else that we can say like about it. It's a terrible situation. Glad they got the guy, but it's terrible. But because of it, all the roads in Las Vegas were blocked off. And so
even when we're driving, we can't escape it. We have to deal with traffic no matter where we go. We fell victim to rat list as if we were in New England. Nobody was moving.
And obviously like
an hour to get from the airport to the hotel.
Yeah, and obviously this isn't like rat list anything that caused the traffic. It was obviously a very serious situation. You understand why it happened, but it was just like we got on the ground. I didn't realize what had happened until we got on the ground because my phone was on airplane mode. But like you get down to the ground and then you see all the traffic and you're like, holy shit! And it's added thing. And then on top of that, the Uber, what was ordered as like a whatever like $40 Uber, turned into like
it did
$120. Something
they
crazy.
Hit us with the quad feet on that one. They said, they did the slot multiplier and they got paid out for the Uber. Now the Uber, we were in it for an hour and we were 3 deep in the back seat. Couldn't have the seatbelts on because that's how congested it was. Nothing happened. There was no issue that required us to need seatbelts. Even if we did get hit, nobody could be moving fast enough for it to impact us. But very hot. I could not grab my phone for the first half of the ride because I was positioned in a way I could not get in my pocket. Bad time to be stuck in the back. Shout out to the driver. Man was an absolute hoss. Gave us an hour of conversation, entertainment. He performed his ass off. He rose to the occasion. He did everything he could to make that ride excellent and be a pal. So shout out to him. He was awesome. Agreed. But he said he didn't want to be famous, so I won't name drop him.
Yeah. Not Rallis. I am so fucking tired. I don't know if Sam, you've been like seeing it or noticing it. I assume so. I've like eyes closed, like knocked, like I am so unbelievably tired. And it didn't hit me because like we were moving around all day. But once I sat down to do this podcast, it was just like I might take a cold shower before we go out tonight, just so I can like wake up.
I was literally gonna be like, you gonna shower?
Yeah, I'm probably just take a cold shower, and maybe not even shower, but just like go in the shower, freezing cold, wake me up, get up. Dude, I won't make it if I don't. Like you said, I have another show after this, which I'm very excited to do. Shout out Knicks Film School. I'm gonna preview the Knicks game.
Do my hair,
but yeah, man.
What the hell is a rat list? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Something. Rat list, my feet. They fucking reek. I'm in this bathroom. I have the door closed. And all I can smell is my fucking feet. I didn't. I don't think I showered last night. I didn't really have like a super intense day, so I'm due a shower too.
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah. Also, Ratless, the ladies of the night that wanted me to take a picture with them.
That was very funny. It was funny. Sam has been mocking me, saying I'm going to get propositioned. Then he was the first one.
No, I actually want Matt to get propositioned.
Shout out the rat.
They don't know Matt, so it's no fun for the viewers. But I'm like, yeah, I want.
He's right in the middle.
Proposition. Yeah, the
Matt created the rat.
Matt the rat is with us. The inspiration for Matt.
That he is. All right, is that it though? I think that's
it. We're at the hour mark.
All right,
we're tired. Jack's tired. So we'll be at the game tomorrow. What do you think tomorrow, Jack? You know what? We'll talk off the air because I don't want to promise anything.
We'll discuss. We'll discuss.
But we'll discuss.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. Sorry, energy today. I feel bad, but I'm dead. I've been dead. Yes. Thank you all for tuning in.
Right.
Make sure to subscribe to How About Them Celtics, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads. We're putting in the work, whether it's a pod, game recap, trade article breakdown. What else do we do? Oh, pregame streams. Yeah, you don't want to miss those. They're all there. You'll get notifications for all of them. Make sure you leave a like, leave comments, tell us what you think. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple if you're looking for the full-length audio pods or the game recaps and you just want the audio version. They'll be there in your inbox if you follow us. Leave a nice 5-star review. Say something nice about the pod. If you want to get in touch with us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We answer all the emails. You saw the segment today. Comment what's poppin'. Send an email that says what's poppin' to be entered into the Inpopnito popcorn giveaway. We do them every pod. So that's a great product. We love it. I'll be ordering some more when I get home to treat myself. You can also find us on socials at How About Them C's. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook is just the name of the podcast. You can find our pregame streams there, as well as YouTube. You can follow Jack on Twitter at Jackson1NBA. You can follow me at Samuel for NCNBA. It's at Phil's Spot.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.